They're back. They're back.
Jam.
One of these days we're gonna chant that, and like people are actually gonna join in. You're gonna hear it and feel it.
What's up, man? Long time. Oh, a hit of the Coke Zero to get us going?
Yes. Yeah, just right out of the can, the classic.
What I'm drinking tonight. Water.
Good.
Okay. And solo para ti.
He's back.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, like that noise, like that is, like that's comfort food to me. Just that sound, dude.
Dude, the bubbles.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can you hear this?
Oh. That's a beautiful sound.
It's such magic.
I'm not big on like the ASMR thing, like it's really super popular now. Like, but that sound I can handle.
Yeah, that's ASMR. There needs to be a YouTube channel or Instagram channel like parody of ASMR.
Oh, that's got to
be
exist.
Like me starting my car.
Yeah. Like you're expecting it to be these really like small, like really light sounds, and then it's just like this like engine that can't do it.
Here's the lawnmower.
Yeah. But they gotta whisper into it first, so it like really throws you off.
Yeah, you got the volume like pumping, like ooh.
Yeah. And you could like give them breadcrumbs too at first to like really set it up, like sounds of yard work and like a hoe in the dirt, just like little stuff. Picking
clumped out.
Yes. Like, and then just like all right, that's next. Yeah. Like, whenever we decide this thing is run its course, we'll switch over to ASMR videos that don't make sense.
I here for it, dude. I posted on TikTok, maybe, or Instagram, or both. The sound of wind through aspen leaves, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great sound.
And I think it was TikTok, and I said like nature's ASMR, aspen ASMR, or something like that, because I was going through Vale,
sure,
and I got off for a walk and was just like hearing all the cool, like the leaves rustling.
Yeah, dude.
And TikTok stripped the audio and said that it was like copyrighted. It was completely not copyrighted.
This copyright is owned by God.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was the whole point. Like on my like little, the what do they call that? What do the kids call that? The caption? I don't know. The thumbnail. Whatever. It was like ASMR. It was all written out, and then it was like, this video has been removed for violate. Like the whole point of it was the sound, right?
Sure.
So it's kind of funny.
TikTok's weird that way. Like, isn't it weirdly like, because so many people have made stuff on there now, and like if there was somebody else that put up audio of aspen trees that sounded close enough to yours, like they might be the ones that own it. Like it might not even be an actual copyright. It might just be some other like TikToker like beat you to the punch or something. I don't know.
The first TikToker to ever post aspen videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TikTok is super weird that way. Like I'm just trying to wrap my head around like the nuances of it, because a lot of the stuff I do for work is social. Like I'm not on TikTok personally, and so I'm like having to like, okay, don't be an old guy anymore. Learn.
I wish you weren't a liar, Doug. Oh, I wish you weren't a liar. Come on, not
about
on TikTok what? Personally.
I don't have a TikTok. Find it, dude.
You can tell us.
Find that TikTok, dude.
Oh shoot, we're down. We're down.
We're
back up.
Coke Zero's going to your head already.
I gave everybody a quick look last time when you were when you were having a Goodwin household sexy time at the book stack. I actually have my laptop like stand this time. So I'm not quite as ghetto as I was last time, but
I like the
still take a topple
analogy.
every once in a while.
I like the analogy of the book stack though. Like
Dude,
atop this
I can't
pile
hear
of
you.
knowledge. Can't hear me?
Are you mouthing things?
No. I'm talking with my. Did something come unplugged?
Okay, there we go. I think when my camera fell over, it knocked the sound.
You
It
get
was my
muted?
bad.
You're good now?
What'd you say?
I said, can you hear me? Um, no, what was I saying? Oh, I was saying that the books are a good analogy though. Like atop this pile of knowledge sits, the conversation.
Yeah.
So I like that
Actually, it was
as I like.
boxes. It was boxes. Remember, it was like a shoebox and some other
Oh,
stuff.
all right.
Just whatever I had.
I tried. I tried to conjure up something. Atop these shoe boxes. It's too late.
I'm
It's too late
listening.
for me to think of something witty to close that out with. So,
Hey, let's start here, man. How the heck are you? It's been 1 month, we figured, since our last jam.
yeah.
And really, you and I haven't even talked that much offline, really. Like, we've messaged a little bit, exchanged a few things here and there. But what's been going on with your life, man?
Dude, it's
You got some quick hit updates, like before we get into big jams?
it's been a hectic, busy month. You might be able to hear it in my voice. I caught whatever the heck is going around last week, so I was down for the count.
Dang.
And then the week before that, I slept through our our planned meeting. So no, man. Like, I guess the big update is that last time we talked, I was getting ready to go try out for the show.
Yeah.
And so I tried out for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'm playing Willy Wonka. So
Come on,
that's the
dude. That's a tall order.
it's hard.
Is there any way you can get outside of Gene Wilder? Like, do you ever like find
Yeah.
space that's like not like imagining him?
Yes, absolutely. The hard part for me is just like literally the way that this thing is written. Like, it's very. I mean, like Gene Wilder does it in the movie. I can't remember if Johnny Depp does it in his, but like there a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the things that he says are like backwards phrasal. Like it's like Dr. Seussy in a way. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of wordplay that requires
Yoda.
it's like it's the whole like strike that, reverse it. Like there's an entire song devoted to that entire premise, and it's freaking fast too. So it's just it's a tall order for me in the way of like it's like tongue twisters, but they have to be like delivered with intention and precision in a way that I do not speak normally.
Yeah.
So definitely a challenge getting that one memorized. I'm not quite as far along as I would like to be, but we got about 3.5 more weeks to kind of get things situated. And
I was gonna say, couple things. First of all, man, I've seen you do some pretty dexterous tongue twister type stuff on your YouTube video where you were Beetlejuice and you're doing that like that whole. It's almost like a rap in some parts, right? When it's just he has that song.
Yeah, he goes quick.
I know that's a different thing because you can take it, you can do as many takes as you want. If you're like, I don't like that one, I'm not going to post that.
Right.
But live theater is different. But I have seen it. I have seen lightning strike. Also, when you do your plays, I'm curious. My little girl does like school theater, and they do after school plays. She did one in the fall. She's doing 2 right now simultaneously.
Whoa.
Loves it. Has a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But I know like sometimes it's considered a musical, and that's where it's there's lots of songs and it's more music driven and like kind of like music theater.
Sure.
And then what she's in now is like they say it's a play, straight up play.
Got it.
So is it kind of the same for you? Are they all about the same amount of music, more or less, or are some like much more so?
All the ones that I've done have been like musicals.
About this and about the same amount, like from play to play.
Yeah, I mean, some are like really like there's a couple, there's several out there really like the most famous one I can think of right off the bat, Les Miserables. You've probably heard of that. Probably heard it. There's like not dialogue that isn't sung in that whole show.
Yeah.
Like every single line is delivered to music. So none of the ones that I've done are that.
Yeah.
They're all talking, and then all of a sudden it just like breaks out into song. And luckily for me, because I'm not that good of an actor, but all the ones that excuse me, all the ones that I've done are comedies, or I mean, one of them, I did Beauty and the Beast last summer. That's certainly has comedic elements to it. It's not like meant to be a comedy per se, but it like there's enough lighthearted and kind of like silliness that it kind of lends itself to the type of acting that I can do, which is hopefully make people laugh rather than like make them cry or whatever. I don't know. I'm not that good. So
yeah.
And that's hard
cool,
to like,
man.
It's hard to do it in a compelling way. Like you either really like, if it's drama, like you really touch people and like just rip their hearts out of their chests, or it's just like, this is uncomfortable. So
yeah,
I've been fortunate. The ones that I've tried out for and gotten to do have been all kind of a little lighter.
You're the mask with the smile.
Yes.
Instead of the mask with the frown.
Yes. Yeah. I'll have to try that someday. Go do like a drama, but yeah, it's just not. I can't see it going well for me. So I like singing, and I like the lighthearted. I like to try and make people laugh, and that's kind of.
You got to earn the drama merit badge one day, man.
Someday I'll have to give it a stab.
So you're Willie. Are there like lots of like solo parts in the music? Like either whole songs or big chunks of songs?
Yep. It's kind of an interesting layout. Little bit different than the movie in that Charlie keeps going in to check in at this candy store. And the Wonka character is kind of undercover in the real world, trying to figure out what his next move is. And so there's still a little bit in the first act, but like the whole first act is just the golden ticket part. And then the entire second act is the factory itself. So it's a much heavier lift for me on the second half, but I do have like these little like kind of bit scenes kind of tucked into like little quick moments in the first act as well. So but yeah, as soon as that factory stuff hits, like it's just wordplay and wild songs and kids getting like obliterated. Like the kids die in this musical. They're not like, oh, there they go at the end, like walking out of the factory. Like Violet turns into a blueberry and then gets too big and explodes off stage.
But you don't know if that means dead. Like she just exploded.
Yeah. So there's some pretty funny, like it's
those kids at least the kids in the movie kind of deserved it. They all should die.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah, no, they all have it coming, but it's just very like our friends are like, "Oh, should we bring our kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but just like the implications."
Think about it.
Yeah, the implications a little dark. So you decide. But I don't know, man. It's fun. It's a fun process. It's a fun way to kind of blow off some steam, and cool people to kind of work around and work with, and just so it's yeah, I don't know. It's
I love it, man. I'm stoked for you.
Good for the soul. So,
and I will say, like in real life, IRL, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is for sure in my top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah.
And if you know me and you happen to be listening to this or watching this, like, you'll know that I've probably brought it up before, and you can probably believe that that's true when you hear me say it, because we've probably talked about it.
Sure.
That was one of very few movies that graced the halls of my house in Escondido, California. Growing up, we probably had like 20 movies, and a lot of them were like TV shows recorded onto VHS tapes.
Yes. Yep.
Like the copy of Home Alone that we had was missing. Like, I'd never seen the first like 6 minutes of that until I don't know, like college.
Yeah.
Because our copy was from TV.
Yeah.
And we missed like the first commercial break, like up into the first commercial break or whatever. So the part where Buzz and the cousin and Kevin are like looking down at the snow shoveling guy from upstairs, that's where my tape started. Like, that's where it literally started. So anyway,
that's hilarious.
We had Hook, we had Where the Red Fern Grows.
Oh my
movie
gosh,
still just makes me bawl.
Yeah. Both of actually Hook. I could go on about Hook. The music in that movie. Oh.
You like?
Dude, it like the only reason that it is not considered as iconic as anything else that John Williams ever did is because it's John Williams, and he did Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like, he has such great, just such a great catalog, and Hook is not as lauded of a movie like classically in the same way that Star Wars or Indy is. But like people from our era, like the nostalgia factor for that one is like completely off the charts. But that music, dude, like I listen to that probably quarterly, and it like wells my eyes up every time. It's just is so good. It's an underrated gem in the Williams catalog.
Yeah. It's I never stopped to really think about the music and give it its proper due. But the movie occupies a really special spot in my heart. I think I felt like I was maybe a couple years too old for it at the time, which is funny now looking back, because I was like, oh, you were 11 or you were 12. And I can't remember exactly what year it came out, but by the time I watched it, I felt like I was maybe, I don't know, 11.
I want to say like 91.
Okay, so I wouldn't have even been, maybe I saw it a couple years after it came out, but yeah, I would have been 10 in 91. I don't know. I felt like I was like, oh man, is this like a little too young for me? Is this like my little brother's movie?
Sure.
But I loved it. It was such a cool, like the baseball thing, added a little bit to it. And the Lost Boys Island was epic. Rufio on the skateboard, it just had a cool feel. So, that was one of the movies in my household. But Wonka, dude, was not from TV. We had, probably grandma gave it to us for Christmas, I think, or something like that. But we had a VHS tape that we like wore out watching because we just loved it. And we could quote it all. I mean, the scene with like the school teacher who's talking about percentages. My siblings and I still like quote that stuff to each other. I don't know. The grandpa is amazing. I kind of wish you got the grandpa, because the grandpa's epic. I don't know how it is in the play. I don't know how they write him in the play, but in the movie, dude, the grandpa's amazing.
He's a good character.
And then all the, like the Veruca Salt's dad is freaking epic. Great time. I don't know. We just love that movie. So I hope you kill it, and I hope it's every bit as good as the Wilder performance and more. I hope you get roses thrown at you, man.
That's a tall order, but
I hope this launches your career.
Well, we'll take it on.
I hope you get lifted off with like a rope and a hook, like on your back, like at the end of it, and you go like soaring out over the audience.
That'd be cool. Dude, they did.
Is this too much to ask? Any of this?
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because they did Peter Pan last year, and they had the actors flying up on stage. They were hooked up into harnesses and like did the whole thing. So,
Hook.
Yeah, let's go. So, But
dude,
anyway, yeah, man. So that's my big thing. What's been going on with you?
We talked about Puerto Rico, I think, last time, right?
Yeah, you were headed down there for work.
Yeah, I don't think I had gone yet. Maybe it was like the following week after we
Yeah.
jammed, but I went and it was awesome. It was really cool. The weather was tremendous. It was -1 the morning that I flew out, and then it was like 81 when I landed. So I
Yeah.
slipped into my shorts
Right
and
move.
never looked back. And then I lasted through the worst of it. And then when I got back to Colorado, it was warmer. So I enjoyed it for that. It was really cool just to kind of visit a place that I hadn't been before, but there was kind of some touchstones that go along with like Latin spots. It's not its own country, but other countries. Oh shoot, we're down again, Doug. We're down.
And just
Now
like
we're
that, you're
back up.
back. See, a piece of cake.
Now we're down.
Oh, spoke too soon.
Let me just explain, everybody. I have a cell phone that I'm recording on, which is pretty cool most of the time. But let's see here. So anyway, Puerto Rico was fun. It was a nice little respite. I did a lot of work, so there wasn't too much ripping around. The very last night, I went for a run in the rain.
Ooh.
And then the next morning, like before I flew out, I grabbed like a hotel towel and drove down to the beach. Just went for a swim.
Nice.
And yeah, other than that, it was a lot of work. But like kind of not. It was a lot of work time, not a lot of hard work.
Sure.
Captured some video. I think we talked a little bit offline about that. May actually throw a little work your way. We'll see if you're up for it. Did some good stuff. So my boss now, he was my client and now he's my boss, lives in this neighborhood. I think I mentioned it's called Dorado Beach. And it's like this to do, man. It's very affluent. It's really cool. It's like nicely landscaped and all the architecture and kind of the master plan of it all. It's sort of built around this Ritz-Carlton hotel.
Okay.
And it's like their reserve class hotels, which there's only 4 in the whole world. One's in Indo, one's in Mexico, one's I forget somewhere else, and then one maybe Hawaii, and then one's in Puerto Rico. And it's like
they like the tropical environments.
Nice. Huh?
They like the tropical environs.
I guess, yeah. It's just extremely nice, and they have all these amenities and multiple golf courses and multiple spa, pool, clubs, and tons of like house restaurants that are only available to guests of the hotel. And the cool thing about it that my boss was able to kind of cash in on is he bought one of 20 houses that's in the neighborhood there that's considered part of the hotel. So they can enjoy all the same amenities. They can roll into those restaurants and hit up the spa and all the like the pool clubs and go play golf anytime. They have this like really cool lounge called the Library. And it's a little like venue kind of like where you can go hang out. You can actually rent it out if you want to have like a little thing there. And there's actually books too. So it's, it's a little like cafe kind of lounge.
Sure.
Really cool. So I got to see that. I mean, it just kind of felt cool to be like on a work trip. I haven't done that for a long time. Like doing your own thing. Like you work from home and, that's the beauty of it, but it's you don't really have the occasion to like have to go meet somebody in the flesh ever.
Sure.
And certainly not like jump on a plane and go somewhere usually.
Right.
For what you do, then maybe that would be the case, but doing SEO, it's never in the last 8 years, I've never really had to do that. So
sure.
I that was cool. Dude, I can't remember if we talked about this last time. Probably not quite. Or if you and I talked about it at all offline. But dude, I jumped back on the dating apps, man. So
no,
I took several months. No,
we haven't talked about this.
have I got some stories? No, I'm just kidding. I don't really have any stories. I actually haven't been out on any dates yet, but I'm on the dating apps after several months of not being. I was kind of part of the 90-day PhD. I took a break from that and try to divert the energy elsewhere, and it was for a good reason, and I could do it again. Who knows? But I jumped back on and got a couple lines in the water, kicking some tires, saying hi, matched a couple times, and
what's your app of choice? Are you on multiple?
Hinge I got, and then I haven't downloaded Bumble yet, but I also have Mutual, which is the Mormon, like not really like from the church, but it's like the people that are trying to live Mormon or Mormon-ish at least.
Sure.
And have that faith piece in common can meet up there. So I have that one, and I have Hinge. And
so,
go ahead.
I had to do like some videos for like Hinge and Bumble and a couple of those back at Future a few years ago, several years ago now. But I can't remember what the differences are. Like, what's the shtick? Like, each one of them kind of have like a different type of methodology, right? Don't they?
I think Bumble used to be the one where women had to like initiate contact first.
Okay.
I don't know if that's still the case. I think I don't know, because I haven't downloaded it yet. But we'll have to see. And I'm not crushing it. we'll just say that and be real humble. It's funny. Like I don't know if I'm doing terrible either, but you don't get a lot of swipes and likes. I think in general as a dude,
I think that's probably
what
true.
I tell myself. But there are like numbers and stuff floating around, and my friends are like, oh yeah, man, girls get like dozens a day.
Yeah.
And guys will get like one or two, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I'm chatting with a few people. It's it's fine. It's fun. I'm kind of trying to remember some of the things I've talked about, like validation, and not just like going wherever validation is offered.
Right.
If I'm not genuinely seeming interested. I talked to this girl, I guess it was like last Sunday on the phone, and she was hot. She had a like smoking profile, and had some, had written some funny stuff and sounded fun, snowboarding, like some other stuff. And I talked to her on the phone, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so like, that's a good example of like, for me, that's a good time to kind of pay attention and not continue to like, just go back just
sure.
because she's, there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it'll be a little masterclass, I'm sure, and some some things about me, but yeah, that's kind of there. I don't know, dude. I got a couple jams. Should we jam for a second?
Yeah, man.
Let me start off with kind of a light one, dude. I'm getting a low battery notification. Oh no. Oh, Doug, this might be a short jam tonight.
That's okay.
Let me show you this.
Oh. Yeah.
Ooh is right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed about myself is that life feels better when you have cool coffee table books.
Sweet.
You know the ones like,
yeah, naturally,
with photos like this. Just cabin porn that you can just pick up and imagine and drift away, and so my kids and I, there's a pretty cool used bookstore that is not too far, and oh geez, look at this. I'm trying to find a couple cool ones to show.
Holy cow. Dude.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
We went through there, and we kind of decided that we're gonna build out a little collection of coffee table books. So this one is really neat. And I've been loving that the last couple of weeks. Just loving having it around. I haven't even opened it a ton, but just seeing it makes me feel like a little more happy about life.
Sure.
Like things are possible and cheerful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a little mini jam that I've.
That's a sweet book, and a sweet idea, dude. I love the idea of Off the Grid, man.
Yeah, we haven't talked about this, huh?
Not in a while. We used. I mean,
have we?
Well, not like, I don't know. I mean, when we were living the perch life, I remember we at least touched on the idea of it back then. But
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Solar,
I'm a big fan of wide open space and
fruit and nut orchard.
yeah, man, like just
Tons
minimal.
of guns.
Yeah,
Tons.
yeah, I want all the guns. Yeah. Mostly for fun. Mostly for fun.
If we haven't
know.
already been canceled, like that should do it. That should put us over the edge.
Yeah,
Mostly
yeah.
for fun. I love how you tried to just kind of like smooth over what I just
no, like
said.
I look, dude. Like I'm not planning on storming the Capitol or anything like that, but yeah, I'm.
That's where we're different.
I,
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I thought you looked familiar,
dude. Four wheelers,
yes,
couple critters, maybe some goats,
dude.
chickens.
When we first moved out here
for water, like
yeah,
just have a place, and you're like kind of good to go.
Yeah, when we first moved out here, it was like, our kids are, at the age where, having access to neighbors kind of like sort of makes the social situation possible and whatever else. And it's been a good run for them, but like lately my wife and I have both just kind of been like, maybe we should just find some space. So
yeah, very much like a dream of mine too. I think when I write my book, it's going to be called Online and Off Grid.
Nice.
Because the one is a means to the other. Like the online stuff is a means to an end. I got in the online game to get out of it, Like I don't want to forever and ever just always be on the internet, like websites and SEO and marketing and funnels and like the dream would be to have a cool, off the grid, self-sufficient kind of like property.
Yeah, dude.
With some land and some trees and a couple little critters and, some stuff, some solar and some quads and some, like a cool bonfire pit, place to have people come over.
Yeah, absolutely. This is this is a good segue.
Please. You got something?
Well, so yeah, one of my things I've been thinking about, and I like, me, I like to like riddles, right? I'm gonna pose a question to you. It's a little bit hyperbolic, but just as again, like, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Talk me through your belief system on this prompt. Has the internet, like, has it grown out of, or has it ended its phase where it's more useful than, or not useful is not the right word, but it is the internet a net positive or net negative at this point?
I think it's net positive.
Okay.
I think it's net positive, but there's a little bit of like a chicken and egg cycle where like the life we now lead is sort of like, instead of the internet built to support the life, back in the day, like, oh, it could help do these things. It's almost like the life we now lead is largely based on the internet,
Sure. Yeah.
Like the internet is like this foundational like piece that sits below a lot of other things now. And we're like, oh, well, I could live here because I can work online. Whereas like like where you live was nobody ever like was basing that off of the internet. Back in the day when it first came out, or like, oh, I don't have to go to the store anymore. I never have to go shop again because I can just buy stuff on Amazon forever and ever. And like, I'll just buy 5 of whatever thing and I'll return 4. Like that was never a thing. But I don't know, me saying that I'm on the dating apps, like, dude, dating apps, like think back to early days. And I think dating and personal pages and all that, like, remember that, like Lycos, like way back in the day, like that was a pretty early use case for the internet. It was like meeting people, chat rooms. hookups. Like that was pretty early, but still, like I think now the way that it all works with like tons of social media and tons of dating apps and everything's really refined. Like there's a lot of people that won't make eye contact with a stranger in public anymore because they know they can just go home and swipe, you know? And it's like, dude, you navigate as a human being through your life in a wildly different way than you did 20 years ago if you're that old.
Sure.
25 maybe, I don't know, it's probably 25 because of the internet. So the way that we like transact, the way that we communicate, the way that we work, the way that we watch TV, like, I mean, dude, Netflix, like we don't have to be home. We never have to like be in front of the TV at 6 p.m. to watch our favorite thing. You just watch it at 2 a.m. Like,
right.
You know, so I don't know if I'm exactly answering your question about has it outlived its useful life, but it's sort of like, I think it's like deeper in life than anybody ever really thought maybe it would ever be. Like the early pioneers of the internet that were like figuring out wireless networking, like the old school, just like the ham radio, you know, level, like backbone when this network was being set up. I don't think people ever envisioned that, like, oh my gosh, there will come days when people just, you know, like my average time on my computer is like 8 hours every Sunday when the Mac like flashes the thing and it's like, oh yeah, your time went down a little bit. You were only on the computer 8 hours on average a day. Like that's crazy talk, right?
Yeah.
So, and none of it is me playing like video games on my just software. It's all internet. It's all like me doing something or email or watching something. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So this was born out of a couple things. I remember last time we talked about like how you know how easily like you can like be scrolling through stuff and just get sucked into some argument that you didn't need to engage in but chose to, and then all of a sudden there goes an hour of your day and your you know overall happy demeanor is like down by the wayside because you know you got sucked into whatever, you know, rigmarole that was, you know, just the latest distraction. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I mean, because I remember when my family switched from the dial up to like DSL or whatever, right? And it was like, oh my gosh, we can use the internet and the phone at the same time. Like, you can you know, you can download songs from Napster in like 2 minutes rather than 3 hours. Like, you know, stuff like that. Like, it was like, okay, like this feels like kind of a Wild West type of thing, you know, like the golden age of like high speed info. Just and now, like a page takes 8 seconds to load, and I find it infuriating. Uh, and like, but the thing is like the sort of skeptic side of me, the pessimistic side of me, was leaning on like, well, maybe it's gone over the apex of what it is, and now it's just more trouble than it's worth. Was sort of like, I was thinking about the amount of time that I waste, you know, and it's not egregious, but it's like, it's enough where I'm like, yeah, you know, I could have done something, like I could have gone and practiced drums. I could have, you know, whatever. And instead I, you know, like scrolled Instagram for 30 minutes, you know, it's like, what was the point of that? I didn't get anything out of it. Couple like chuckles maybe, but it's like, I don't know. And then, and I'm thinking about it as a dad too. You know, my kids that are in middle school have phones. They're locked down pretty heavily. We don't like, they're not allowed to have social media yet. but they still manage to spend like actual chunks of their afternoons just goofing off on the phone,
Yeah.
playing Among Us or whatever. Like and I'm not saying that games and video games like is like the enemy of humanity or whatever, but it just, I don't know, it just is like, I think about the trajectory of my lifetime and what the internet meant like to me as like a high school kid, and it was like, this is like the last frontier, and just
Yeah.
what it's become since, I could never have fathomed. But the struggle
Yeah.
I have with that is that, like, it was supposed to be a useful tool, right? And obviously it still is. Again, I'm being overly hyperbolic about like the negative side of it, but like, you could do your research at home. You didn't have to go to the library anymore. Go grab the freaking encyclopedia off the shelf, kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you can do, and you still can, but like, I don't trust anything I read or see on the internet anymore, because so much of it is like fabricated and false. And that's the other big part for me, man, is that everything that I look at is a sales pitch. Whether, right, like, stuff that is supposedly just like, oh, we just do this for fun. Like, no, at least not on social.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and like, even, I mean, the social apps are so annoying. Like, I scroll through 15 posts of sponsored ads, pages that I don't follow, to find one person that like I'm actually friends with. And I finally, like, I get to see pictures of their kid or their dog or whatever. And that's like, and then I have to scroll through 8 more ads and 10 more. Maybe you'd like this page, and most of that's garbage. And I don't know. It's just interesting. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, dude, it's certainly enabled. It's certainly enabled like a lot of kind of laziness and stuff. I mean, like people to your point, like nobody wants to go to a library and get encyclopedia off the shelf and do research. Like no one's done that. I'm not sad about that necessarily either,
no,
but it was harder. Like if you're a fourth grade kid and your teacher was like, all right, well, now you're going to start writing reports because this is going to be your life for the next like 10 years in school. So the way you do it is you go and you look in the card catalog and the Dewey Decimal System. You go find
right,
the books, and like you can use an encyclopedia for one source, but you gotta have 4 other sources. Like that was harder.
yeah,
And the dating thing I mentioned, like, when there was no dating apps, like, and you actually had to talk to somebody, and it's scary, and no one feels comfortable like saying hi to a stranger. That's like going to work. Like people feel like it's a crime now because companies want them to come back and like return to work. The like back to the
right,
office mandate is like, what? Like
yeah,
it's like against their civil rights or something to like for an employer to say, dude, you got to come back into the office.
yeah,
And people don't like it. It's enabled a lot, I think. Like the like you talk about the speed, like you get upset if a page takes longer. I mean, dude, we have all these consumer apps and this consumer like webosphere where there's just beautiful websites that have thought through all our problems.
yeah,
We don't ever have to know how to like get somewhere anymore.
no,
Nobody knows anybody's phone number. You don't know how to like you don't know. I mean, you just plug it into Google and you just
yeah,
drive and like whatever it tells you, you're like, great. And if we have to like listen to an ad before we hear the next song on Spotify or YouTube Music or something, we're like,
yeah,
gosh, it's
yeah.
freaking free music.
30
It's
seconds, come on.
yeah, it's like beautiful, like high def, whatever. And I just think it definitely has enabled,
Yeah,
um, like it's frustrating now to have to like put something into Chat GPT and Chat GPT like doesn't get it right the first time. You're like, oh gosh.
yeah,
Okay, let me say it a little more
yeah.
clearly for you. I'll type an extra sentence.
I thought the
So yeah,
robots were
I would
supposed
say
to be
that.
smart.
Yeah. I mean, if we have to pay $1 for a game, it's like, who are these crooks? You're trying to
Yeah.
rip me off? You know, like back in the day when we would have our little like the handheld, like, you know, those
Yeah.
games that they just made for like one game,
Yes.
it'd be like
Yeah.
pinball or whatever. Like those were $20, and it was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I can't wait. This is gonna be so sweet. Now, if you have to pay $6.99 for a bundle, you're like infuriated that
Yeah.
you've been wronged. You know, so
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a fascinating thing that it was like a mental loop almost that I got stuck in earlier this week, where it's just like, what is any of this for? You know, like it was and so I figured I'd
Dude,
just float it out there and see what you thought.
okay, last time we talked about that video, that summer in the '70s video, right? Where it
Oh
was like,
yeah,
did I send that to you or no?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, I mean
Yeah,
that's a classic example. Like when we were kids, even you and me, even not being in the '70s exactly, like I was in the '80s. You had to go out and get on your bike at least. You had to like
yeah,
go ring a doorbell or a couple doorbells, and you had to like play TV tag or think something up, or like go to the school with a baseball bat and like set the bases around. And you know, that was a small price to pay for sure.
right.
And the payoff was epic.
Yes.
And the stories are like golden to think back on them now. But like people don't have to do that if they just want to be entertained for 2.5 hours. They don't have to go like walk out the door and ring a doorbell and get on the bike. Like they could just click a
Oh
button
my
and
gosh,
it's, you know,
dude.
so a lot of enabling.
Yes, it's so funny to me because my older kids are my oldest one especially, like he's very social. He likes being around people. He likes friends. He likes doing all that. Um, and really like he's pretty comfortable like in groups in crowds, but especially when I mean now granted when we moved here it was COVID, so like it was a weird time to like relocate and like try and meet people when everybody's like afraid to be around each other or whatever. But like even after like we're like, why don't you just go knock on his door and see if he's home? And he's like, no, I can't do that. Like that's awkward. And it's like, dude, you guys
I
hang out
know.
at school all day. It's
Yeah.
not weird to go to his house and like see if he is, you know. It's
That was
just
one
I
of
don't
the
know.
first things in that summer in the '70s video. That was one of the first things. Like nobody like arranged a play date.
Yeah,
Your parents just kicked you out of the house because they didn't want you inside, and
yeah,
then it was up to you to just start ringing doorbells and just figuring out like if Johnny could come out to play. Because if
yep.
he couldn't, you just go next door to the next house and just
That's right.
ring that doorbell and be like, "Hey, does somebody want to like do something? Like jump on your bike or grab a ball?"
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like you got to set it up and like make sure the parent, like, I don't know. There's
It
reasons why,
sure.
but yeah, like you know, your question was about the internet, and I do think that the internet has kind of enabled a lot of like
I
kind of
also
Wally style living where
yeah,
we're just like,
yeah.
oh, don't make me think about anything. Don't make
Yeah.
me
Just
just
somebody put a cupcake in my mouth and let me sleep like but I do wonder about it, like from like the perspective again. Like half the things that I worry about are like dad life stuff, right? Um, like I've told my boys repeatedly, like guys, if you grow up, um, you know, like be cognizant of the world around you and like be able to utilize these tools. But like if you grow up and you're not completely reliant on them, like if you guys are the kids in school that actually are willing to go up and like talk to the girl you like face
yeah,
to face and like put yourself out there, like it's going to be super weird for you and them because it just is not done anymore. But at some point you'll cross a threshold where like, oh, that's actually kind of impressive,
yeah.
you
People
know?
like it.
Yeah,
It's
like
cool.
if you're the kid that like is in a group setting, like my again my oldest kid, like he gets so annoyed. It's funny, like he'll come home from like social things, whatever, hanging out at friends' houses or you know the like the church youth group or whatever, right? Like and he'll come home and be like they were on their phones the whole time. It was so
Yeah,
boring. And I'm like, if you can be the kid that goes into social environments and can convince these screen zombies to put their phone down and actually like engage, you'll never have a problem making friends.
Yeah.
You'll never have a problem meeting girls. You'll never have a problem like it, because it's just not done anymore.
Right.
It's a really interesting thing to watch. Like, you know, I work with the youth in at church, and great group of kids that we work with. Phones constantly, you know, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating to like, just, I don't know. It just is a very, very unique time to exist as a teenager. Like I pity them in a way. I mean, it's also, I mean, again, like what was the Wild West to us was like the internet in and of itself. The Wild West of these kids is like literally endless information, everything you could ever dream of, and everything you could ever have a nightmare about, all at your
Yeah.
access. You know, and it's
Yeah.
like it's it's fascinating. It's terrifying, in a way, but it's just I like it's just again every generation is just kind of like a brave new world, but I just wonder if it peaked at some point, and so now my like mental thing is like no, you know, don't be the cynic, like find the good, let go of the bad,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think you're reminding me of this thing that I saw, which this is a little off the topic of what you're talking about exactly 100%. But I think just the laziness and like the ease, and it's just very addicting. Like there's this
yeah,
loop of like, oh, it's only like an arm's length away at all times, this phone, and I can just scroll. It's just like one or two buttons, and I can be entertained, and I can like have this kind of steady drip of whatever. Um, like John Mayer, I saw this video on the internet a couple days ago. This is gonna be a little meta because I'm about to bring it all back around, but he was talking about getting off of like quitting drinking, and he was talking about how he had his very last night drinking at Drake's 30th birthday party.
okay,
Um, and this has been several years now. I don't know how old Drake is now, but he's been I don't know if he has like 10-year chip or 6-year chip or whatever, but it's been quite a while since he's drank. Um, but he was talking about how he was hungover for so many days. Like he said, on the sixth day of being hungover after that, which I'm glad he didn't die. He's a musical talent, and I love his
yeah,
stuff. He's also pretty smart when you listen to him. You're like, dude, he seems like a I don't know, whatever.
yeah, he's a
But
thinker
he
for
talked
sure.
about how coming down from alcohol and from not drinking for the first several months or year was a little sad because you didn't get the little like the kind of spikes that come along with that.
Sure.
But and so then if you don't have those spikes, then you find yourself down at this like baseline. It's like
Mm,
it's a little sad. But he's like, what happens is like the baseline after a year or however much time, the baseline kind of starts to raise altogether. So
okay.
you're not as reliant upon spikes anyway, because just status quo is a little higher than than it used to be when you were reliant on the spikes, and then you would dip below. So I
Sure.
just think about that. Like you remind me, I think of that when you're talking about kids and always being on their phones and stuff. Like it's kind of sad and boring to put the phone down. That's why we do it, adults too. Like
Oh yeah.
that's why I'm gonna like watch Netflix after this or whatever. Like we turn to it too, because life is a little more sad and boring if you don't. But like alcohol or anything else, like if you can sort of put it down and just let yourself be a little bored and get used to some boringness, I
Yeah.
think the overall, like you make room for other things to kind of like sort of present themselves. And I think the overall baseline maybe goes up to where you're not as reliant on the like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next
Right.
thing? No, 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 push this. Like maybe. So
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I have found like lately, like just in the past few weeks, that I've been um I've been driving around in silence.
Me too.
I've been like, usually I would listen to music or a podcast or whatever, like a book or whatever. And just for whatever reason, like the past 3-4 weeks, like I get in the car and I just don't turn anything on. And I just have my commute to work is about 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
I just drive in silence.
Love it.
And it's like, when does that ever happen? You know, like why it's just, it's so, I don't know. It's been such a fascinating thing for me because like, I don't know. I mean, I growing up, I don't like, I'm a music nut, dude. Like I love listening to music. It really like is an enriching thing for me to, you know, listen to songs that I love, listen to songs that are new. Like I just like music like, but for whatever reason, something about those silent drives right now for me. I'm just like, just me and my thoughts for better or
Well,
worse.
yeah, it's funny that you talk about that, man, because I don't love it but I do this. I do this frequently. I not every time, but I do it frequently, and I've done it in the last week. I do it a lot. Like when I come home from Denver, sometimes I'm like, oh, I got a 40-minute drive. I'm like, oh, what podcast should I put on? Like, how should I get ahead? Like, should I call somebody that called me and I couldn't? I owe a call back to somebody. Like, how do I just maximize this time? And so I've had that thought, just sort of as like a therapy exercise of like, almost like the John Mayer, where it's like, just be boring for like 30 minutes when you drive. Just see how that feels.
Yeah.
Like maybe you have some thoughts that have been clamoring to be thought about, but you haven't thought about them because every time that you have an opportunity, you're like, I'll put this podcast on, I'll put this music on, I'll call this person, I'll do all these other things. And so that's kind of how I think about that silent drive. I'm not doing it because I just absolutely crave it, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's kind of like medicine that you take for the result, not the taste.
Yeah.
But I think it's good, dude. I think it's a good, like, I was driving to church the other day, silence. I think there's like there's value in that,
You know what it is? Like, because I agree. I don't crave it. I don't like, I mean, I do like, I do find that I enjoy it more than I like thought I would 6 weeks
Yeah.
ago or whenever before this started. Right. But like, I don't, I'm not looking forward to my drives every day purely for like, okay, 20 minutes of silence, but it is like, I wonder if part of it is just, like you said, we're going to get off this call and I'm going to go get in bed. My wife's fast asleep. I'm going to like scroll Netflix for 10 minutes, find a movie to watch or whatever, cause I'm not tired yet. And I honestly wonder if just the chore of like scrolling through the infinite options, not bothering with that, and just like, what podcast should I listen to? What songs, like what album have I not listened to in a while? Instead of doing that, just getting in and just like, gonna ride this out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's something to that.
I think you're right.
Like it's
you were saying that. Yeah.
Like the possibilities are infinite, and that may be like, on occasion anyway, overwhelming enough that like just choosing nothing in place of the infinite is therapeutic in a way, somehow, some way. I don't know. Good
insight. I think you're probably right. I think there's something there because, yeah, it's like, dude, it's like Cheesecake Factory menu.
Yes, dude. Yeah, great analogy.
Menu, like, oh my gosh, it's all good, but I'm so stressed right now because I have to like weed through 728 options.
It's too big.
And I don't even know like what continent I want to eat on tonight, but they got it all. They got like Asian and like fusion and Mexican and it's or just being like, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to go to Cheesecake Factory altogether. And you're like, ooh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. I love a simple menu.
Yeah.
I love a simple menu. Yeah, dude. Like that's a great analogy. Like at some point, the vastness of the possibilities is, like, you can only get hit by that wave so many times before you just need to get out of the water for a little bit or something. I don't know. It just, but
yeah.
Yeah, silent drives, man. It's doing it for me these days.
Silent drives. You're getting old, dude.
Yeah.
You're getting old.
Yeah.
I hope you're like, I'm picturing you wearing like a cool, like a man's man flannel, and like in some old like 1968 Dodge with like a big steering wheel, and probably stick shift, which is also weird, dude. Like nothing is stick shift. You cannot find a stick shift car, like no truck, like sports cars. I mean, I think sports cars are, but that's another crazy thing is like nobody drives stick.
It's just
My kids are like, dude, you should try to find a stick shift car. How cool would that be? And I was like, it would, yeah. Like my first like 4 cars were stick though, and it wasn't by design. It was just the cheaper one that was available, and I could drive it, and so it didn't matter. But anyway, I picture you in an old truck and like some hat sitting high on your head and a flannel. Just Clint Eastwood just grumbling about the kids these days.
That's right. Yeah, just screaming at the clouds.
Yeah.
But as long as the car is silent, like honestly, there's a hole where the radio used to be. Like it's just gone.
A couple wires and like a little like wire harness thing, like sticking it out.
That thing holds my sandwich now.
Dude. Well, dude, we've been going a while. Like, I still have a couple of jams, but I don't even know. I guess we've been about an hour.
Yeah.
What else you got, man?
Oh, what else do I got?
Did you just go?
Yeah. It's your turn. Yeah, because I brought up the internet weird thing, and then I talked about silent drive. Yeah, dude, you're up. Give us one more.
Dude, let me see. Oh, shoot. Let me see if I can. I want to screen share because I tried to do this last time. Let me just move my camera here for a second and see if I can. Let's go screen, and then let's go this one, and let's see if we can do this. Hold on.
Have you ever listened to Hardcore History on the subject of podcasts?
Dan Carlin?
Yeah.
I remember when that first dropped. Actually, Jesse Black and I talked about it.
Okay.
He was a big fan.
The way you just said that, like, let's do whatever that, like, you sounded like him.
Jesse Black wanted to make his own history podcast called Black History.
just the guy to tell those tales.
Just amazing. Yeah, amazing, dude. All right, so I think you should be able to hear this. Tell me if you can hear this.
Okay.
This was something I found this on Instagram because the internet. God bless the internet.
Yeah, that's right.
And I actually don't have a problem with Instagram. Like, I don't spend that much time. Every time I log in there, I have like reels and stuff that people have sent me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys send me stuff like every day.
Yep.
So I waste plenty of time in other ways. But anyway, this was one that hit me. Let's play it, and I hope you guys can hear this. Can you hear this?
Before you were born, you talked to God. You said, I want to be courageous. God replied, I will give you monsters to terrify you so that you can conquer them. And you said, I want to be patient. God replied, I will make you work harder and longer so you can learn to wait. I want to be wise, you said. And God replied, then I will give you failures that will crush your spirit so that you can learn the value of judgment. You then said, sounds like a rough life. Can you give me a good life? God replied, just like we measure the quality of a blacksmith by the strength of his steel, I measure you by what you are at the end, not the fire and the hammer it took to make you. A good life isn't a life that's easy. A good life is a life that makes you a good person. And that, my child, is a hard life.
Anyway, hopefully that audio comes through.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Yeah. I've been jamming on that, man. That's one that has really landed. I've shared that with a couple of people. You know how I just was making fun of those people that share reels a second ago? But yeah, that one's got me. That like really hit me, I think. And It's like how much of my life do I spend kind of trying to like just somehow get like more, or somehow like make it a little better, or eliminate a little bit more bad stuff. Um, and but it's kind of like the gym. Like if you go out of the gym and you're like, oh, I felt a little better today than I did yesterday. Great, but you kind of didn't do it. You should stay in the gym until you're like until you are in pain. You know, and if today that means 245 plates instead of a 45 and a 35, like it did yesterday, then you just do. You know what I mean? Like you just go until you're like dead. And so if you come out of the gym feeling like, oh, I'm okay, I'm pretty good, and you're like not sore, then you didn't do it really, you know, like you circumvented the result that you were going after.
Sure.
And I think about that with this video. It's like, I think I've circumvented the result that probably I would have wanted. Like the life that would have made me a good person is a hard life. I've still had plenty of things that have happened, whether I've like sought them out or not. But it's like you shouldn't just run at the first sign of defeat. You know, like that's that's where it happens. I was moving back in November to this place. I just moved 10 minutes down the road, but the day that I was moving, I was listening to this thing on the radio. And I don't know. I can't remember exactly where it was, if it was radio or if it was like some audiobook or something like that, but maybe it was a podcast interview. It was like a couple of people talking, and the one guy was talking about how his mom would like counsel with these people that they do like she'd do grief counseling, and, you know, people that had depression and all these different things. And, you know, a lot of times he was like, she would talk to people that were just down on their luck, or they had things falling apart, divorce, and, you know, career, like people getting fired and all these things that were terrible. And he said, yeah, my mom would just look at him and be like, this is where the good stuff starts. Congratulations. This is where the good stuff starts.
Interesting.
And for some reason, the way that guy said that on the radio, and this like video also, I think it's just like, you know, you're doing it right, like the gym, when it's kind of terrible, you know, like you're getting your life's worth out of it, kind of.
Yes.
When it's all like horrible. And I'm still going to try to avoid that tomorrow when I wake up. I'm going to like purposely try to like not, but it's going to happen whether I seek it out or not. And so I'm trying to train my brain to be like, this is where the good stuff starts. It's okay.
Sure.
Flat tire. Like, I'm not going to be able to make it to this concert that I bought tickets to that were $100 each. Like, it's where the good stuff starts. This is what it is, you know, and this is like a stretching moment. This is the life that's going to make me a good person right now.
Sure.
This is a little bit of a hard thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, dude, end rant. That's the jam that I've been like thinking about for a little while. I was going to share that a week or two ago, so it's you know, it's been on my mind for a little while. But anyway, thought I would share that.
I like it. It's an interesting framing that I haven't heard. I mean, you know, you always hear the kind of, I never said it'd be easy, I said it'd be worth it kind of stuff, but which I think there's value in that statement, and absolutely. But I like the framing of you know, the, like, I think it said the blacksmith is measured by the strength of the steel, you know, the path of least resistance, and like you know, the habitual need for ease doesn't produce the movement that you're hoping for, probably, right? Like it doesn't open the doors you want it to open. You know, convenience and complacency and comfort and ease, like they're fine. I mean, you need them at some point. I was sick as a dog a week and a half ago. I needed some comfort. Like I was hurting, like I needed to lay in bed and just rest. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it can't be the default, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a cool piece. I like that. Also,
a good life is not an easy life. A good life is a life that makes you a good person.
Yeah.
And that is a hard life.
Yeah. Hot dang.
There's a thing, gosh, I'm looking on my phone right now. I'm trying to find it. It's like a, I'm not going to be able to, I'll have to like add it in later. I'll send it to you after we hang up or whatever. But there's a word, what is it? It's like, it's in Japan, and it's like shiguri or some word, but it basically, there's like this idea. There was a book that was written about it too. When my brother and I hiked Long's Peak last summer. Long's Peak is a 14er in Colorado. It's like 14,200 something feet. And it's a thing, it's pretty doable if you're in like kind of okay shape. It's pretty easy to do it in the summertime.
Sure.
It's just long.
Yeah.
So it's like 10 or 11 hours. It takes a long time. But we met these guys that were talking about this like shiguri or whatever this thing is. And it's basically like the hardest thing you can think of. And then you just times it by 10. And you do something like this like once a year.
Okay.
So that everything else, like to kind of recalibrate, what hard is and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so these guys were on it. They were on theirs. They had read this book and they'd heard about this idea, and they're like, we want to do it. And so they had flown out from like Kentucky or somewhere, and they had been awake for like 60 something hours.
Whoa.
They flew out. They caught they worked all day. They caught a red-eye flight to Denver. They landed at like 3 a.m. or something like that in Denver. They drove to Boulder, or to Long's, which is kind of outside of Boulder. It's like on the way to Estes Park.
Sure.
And then they like jumped out and like got on the trailhead, which is kind of late because you're supposed to be on the trailhead at like, 3 or 4 a.m. to do it and be back down safely before like weather gets crazy and lightning and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they did that. And then they were going to go hike all the way back down, get in their cars, drive back to the airport. This was on a Saturday, and they were going to drive or fly home and then go to church. I was like, dude, you are not staying awake in church for one.
Yeah, dude.
I don't stay awake in church if I've had 15 hours of sleep. So
hope your pastor's a friend.
Yeah, unless the music is real lively, or unless it's the kind of church where you don't sit a lot. Maybe you're standing up a lot.
That's right. Yeah.
If the worship is hot, then maybe you are going to stay awake. But anyway, that idea was cool. My brothers and I have talked about it. Like, dude, maybe we do this thing, and maybe we like layer in. My brother's done a bunch of fasts. He's fasted for like 7 days, like where it's just water.
Wow.
Water fasts.
7 days. Jeez.
Which he says he feels fine, by the way. He's done this a couple different times, and he's like, dude, after like 3 days, like you don't even think about the food. Like you kind of miss like the place that it occupies in life.
Yes.
And the socialness of it and whatever, and like taste. But anyway, so I've thought about that. We've thought about like hiking again. There's, running a half marathon, or just, I don't know, stacking in a bunch of things together. There's like probably a cold water plunge that could like, that could hurt, that could be layered in. Anyway, but yeah, just ideas about like doing something difficult.
Sure. Yeah, dude. Embrace the suck.
Your turn, dude. Your turn.
I'm tapped out for the night, I think.
Yeah? Is that where we end it?
Yeah, dude. I think that's as good a place as any to plenty of food for thought, and yeah, we're sitting at about an hour 20 at this point or something like that. So
I haven't even finished my CZ, dude.
Dude, see, like, yeah, I'm gone.
Empty?
It's gonzo. Yeah, a couple more drops.
Well, it's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, dude. Sorry I missed it.
All good, man.
Last time. I don't know. That's the other, maybe it's a similar sort of thing as the silent drive, but like when I had texted you that night and I think you were working out or something still. I'm like, all right, yeah. I got like 30 minutes to blow or something. Like we had been texting at like 10:30 my time, getting ready for like an 11. So like it was, and I like laid down in my bed. It's like just going to watch TV for a few minutes. Last thing I remember. It was gone. So it was like, yeah, I don't know.
All good, man. Good.
Old timer nonsense. So
all good. You were just Clint Eastwood, like in your flannel shirt. Like
that's right. Yeah.
Nobody should be up past 9:30.
I pulled that tall hat.
Past 9:30. That's the devil's playground.
That's right. Pulled the tall hat over the eyes. It was just resting there. It was like, oh yeah.
I hope you were just sitting straight up, like with your boots on and your arms folded, like. Gun sitting across your lap.
Yeah, I was on the porch. I lied. I wasn't in my bed. I was just on the front porch. just monitoring the neighborhood.
One hand on your dog's head, like
that's right.
With your hat down.
Yeah. 10:30 at night, dude. Yeah.
All right, man.
See, that's why I need that space so I can do that stuff without making a fool out of myself in front of the neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Go get that plot of land and then I'll just put benches everywhere that I can just rest on.
Yeah.
Sounds epic.
Yeah, that'll be your life, dude. Back to the land.
That's right.
Volunteer fire department.
Yeah, dude.
High school football on Friday nights.
Yep.
Church picnic on Sunday.
That's right. None of that sounds like a bad plan to me. I'm like, that all sounds great.
I know. When I lived in North Carolina, most recently, 2020, right before I moved out here to Colorado, COVID had come down and everybody was like talking about stuff and social distancing and stuff, and we already were for sure.
Right.
But I just was like, gosh, I just wanna not be crucified for my views on Black Lives Matters or the presidency, or like I just want to like tap out and just have my little land and trees and not have to think about like vaccinating or like losing friends because I chose to get vaccinated or I didn't. And like everybody kind of like,
pick a side.
I felt myself craving like the like country life where I could just sort of almost disappear, have my property and anyway.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Go put your hat over your eyes.
Beautiful life. All right, brother.
It's late for you, man.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again in like a couple of weeks if I don't fall asleep. You can give me the update on your apps.
Yeah. So I might make it happen this weekend, Doug. We'll see.
Hey, I love it.
We'll see.
All right, man.
Got to do something uncomfortable though. You can't just sit there and swipe. You got to actually like.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta engage.
Fill me up.
That's right. Eye contact.
Yeah.
Human interaction. It's not what the world's built for anymore. But
it's pretty scary.
Nah, dude. Yeah. Good for you, man. I'm happy for you. I'm excited to hear about the adventure of that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So
appreciate it.
All right, dude. Okay, we'll talk soon.
Later.
Bye.